With the Citrine's Last Wish update came out one of the more weird shotguns to the Warframe arsenal, the Steflos, a mono-projectile short-range shotgun that only grows in contact with enemies. However, the problem here is that with only one projectile discharge, no matter the multi-shot value on the Steflos, it seems that there is no additional multi-shot damage because the number of projectiles never changes. Or so it seems. The shotgun behaves kinda erratic in terms of damage output with or without multi-shot mods. Most of the time it's there, sometimes it's not. But with increased fire rate or a happy trigger finger, it seems to be more there rather than not there. Also, increased punch through has little to no effect on the Steflos during active combat because of its innate punch through enemy bodies. Additionally, with its short range of 12 meters, increasing the projectile speed on the Steflos is a must, either with fatal acceleration or galvanized acceleration, because during active combat you need to move around, hit enemies and make use of the monoprojectile that extends with every enemy you hit, while you try not to get too close to the enemy that is constantly trying to surround you. Because without either of these two mods, you need to get awfully close to a mob of enemies, which in turn makes you an easier target for them, and most of the time that means you get into melee striking distance. This makes the Steflos not only for steel path areas relatively resource intensive to mod, but in general. A possible simple crit or raw damage build is dependent on an at least additional 4 to 5 former investment, plus arcane, Exilius adapter and a pro primary weapon sentinel build to make the Steflos work. For new players and beginners, that is kinda unaffordable at the point where you first get to Mars and farm the Steflos on the mirror defense mission, especially when you just started playing Warframe. Yes, you can still somewhat use it for normal star chart missions, and of course its inert heat damage is especially effective against the infested, unless you make the investment and mod faction specifically. However, a positive for the Steflos is that the ejected projectile regularly does not miss the head, which makes it very friendly for laser sight mod and shotgun crit mod owners in general. Weirdly enough, this makes the Steflos kinda eligible for hunter munition builds without standard crit mods that increase the crit chance. Let me show you a simple fun build, the one I am using right now. As you can see, which is a theme with the Steflos in general, like for many other builds in Warframe 2, to make this weapon work you have to play into a certain synergy between this weapon, status effects and or grouping abilities to get the most out of it. I am fighting here corrupted gunners and their Eximus version at level 190, trying to gain the galvanized hell multi-shot bonus as fast as possible and then throw status effects on as many enemies that I can, and at the same time line as many as I can in one line to hit as many as I can with one shot. Whatever build you may choose, the Steflos should be part of some kind of synergy, with or without heavy former investment, because the Steflos alone on high level missions loses a lot of gameplay charm without it. Let's say you are a beginner and try to make the Steflos work, which excludes every primed and galvanized mod. And let's further assume you have no arcanes, but you already have some nightmare mods. With this build you should be able to use the Steflos with a 3 to 4 former investment. Where can you find the Steflos? You can relatively easy farm all parts of the Steflos on the Mars Mirror Defense node, Tyana Pass. You get part drops there, plus Rihanna and Belry crystal fragments, which you can in turn turn in on the Necrolist on Deimos with Otak for the complete set. And while doing it, you are most likely able to farm enough crystal fragments for all of the Citrine update items in a relatively short amount of time. I like the Steflos, but I like other shotguns more. Even though it's fun to use as soon as you get the ball rolling with it, it's kind of weird, because the potential with this type of shotgun weapon is there. To use it as some kind of pseudo crowd control shotgun to easily hit a target group of, large group of enemies at once, as long as they are grouped up or standing in line. Like I said, this is a weapon that needs overall some sort of synergy, like certain Warframe or Helmuth abilities, to group small or large groups of enemies together, hit them all, and repeat, or well, something else. Or a hallway fight. If you're into hallway combat style fighting on smaller map tiles, the Steflos is maybe for you. Which is a lot of fun, but maybe a lot to ask for new players, or from new players, especially looking at the former cost to make any setup work. But maybe that's the point of the Steflos, to make players fiddle around with it, invest into it, to find a synergy, and to find their playstyle. With the lack of synergy tutorial in Warframe, maybe this is an attempt to kind of passive-aggressively force players to learn it early on in the game. Or maybe I'm just crazy. One advice, or one free advice, I like to give before this video ends. If you should decide to use the Steflos, please change the color scheme of the projectile, so you do not cause a sensory overload to other players, who will not be able to see anything if you have a high fire rate build or a happy trigger finger. Because when you unload the Steflos in a rapid fire frenzy, you are taking over other players' view screen with your projectile fire. And I think that other players in your squad should have the ability to see at least something on their screens. You know, could be very helpful in a squad-based co-op game. I mean, the Steflos is not as bad in that regard as other weapons, but I find it most annoying, and I think others do too. So have a heart for other people in your squad, and have fun.